Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hard Knock Dice. I'm Kylie, the storyteller for this lovely evening. These are our wonderful heroes somewhere to the left or right of me. Who's to say? And we are playing a campaign called Roads of Ruin. And so before we kick off the adventure, somewhere in the chat, a link is going to be dropped for Extra Life. We are raising money with Extra Life for the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. So if you are able, open up those heart wallets and donate to help a kid be a hero. Because that's the good thing to do, friends. Yeah. And so normally in this chunk of time, in this chunk of space, I would do a recap of what happened last week. But I think because of the nature of our little adventure campaign, we're going to do things a little bit different. So, we're going to cut to the Isla, which has little fires being put out, there's smoke all lazing through. There are emergency responders scattered, and a camera focusing on Cassandra Drew, who is soot covered, has a big old scratch across her face, looks into the camera and says, people of the Isla, we have been told to shelter in place. We've had an incursion upon our island. This has not happened in 500 years since the Six protected us in that final stand that they had. What we're hearing now is that there's about 60 people who are dead. We have cavalry members that are missing. As soon as I know more information, I will let you know. What we do know is that there were many redcaps, there were many ashwalkers, but our cavalry members fought hard and protected us as they have always done. I promise to keep you updated as much as I can. And you see her eyes follow something, and she goes, I'm going to leave you off that. Stay safe out there in the feed cuts.
I think Nicodemus has a bit of, because we left off with him having a letter in his hand. He just got through reading. And he's in the stadium, and I imagine he probably sees a group of young folks, Little League baseball team, hiding probably in fear and in tears. And that's going to strike a nerve with Nicodemus. He's going to cast Create Bonfire in his hand on the note itself. I'll take that's an 8. Okay. I'll take the 10 damage. I'm resistant to it, so it'll just be 5. As that note just incinerates in his hands. And on my communicator, I am going to send a message to someone.
Okay.
Meeting with her ASAP.
Okay. And as you are, you see these children. What is your first instinct with them? Are you taking them down into for all intent and purpose, a bomb shelter that hasn't been used in several decades? Are you putting them in the dugout or an office or something? What is your first instinct here?
I think they've probably already put themselves in the dugout, like the coaches, the adults that are directly responsible for them. I will go check in with those adults. It'll be quick, brief, but he'll relax a little bit before going in there. And just, where are you taking them now?
a sort of middle-aged man with a receding hairline who knows who you are, shaking. You see all the children are they don't have a single scar on them. They just look very scared. He goes, the plan is to take them into the locker room and barricade ourselves there until we get the all clear.
Move.
They're gonna, whatever you tell them to do, they will follow. Like, you are the highest ranking officer amongst, like, these are all just civilians at this point.
I'm gonna say move quietly, and if he doesn't start like
putting
fire in his step, I will. Okay, I was about to say, I have soft spot for the young ones, but if he doesn't have fire in his step, I'll put it there.
Yeah, no, the moment you say move, he basically puts his arms out and, like, guides all the children to the locker room, and they all tuck in.
Nico jumps out of the stadium, and he's gonna go find some other cav members. He's gonna see if there's any soldiers that are around and start giving out orders to secure perimeters immediately. But he is going to be seeking out his fellow cav members, seeing if they're the ones that have been taken or killed or whatever the case is.
Yeah, the closest person to you is Mira, so you would find Mira pretty dang close. Mira, in this moment, thoughts, feelings, impressions, what's going through your mind?
So Mira is in the midst of rendering aid. So Mira is making splints. Mira is bandaging wounds. Mira is triaging people, checking to see if they have concussions, because, like, you don't know what each person has been through. Like, basic first aid, if you had to do first aid, that's what Mira is doing, like, kind of one at a time with different people. And the ones that are healthy, kind of delegating them to go and check on other people. So Mira is surrounded by, hopefully, living bodies. If not, that's a problem for later. But at the current moment, she is triaging the living and sort of delegating other people to kind of set aside the dead so that they can be buried later.
Yeah. Let me... You thankfully, there's some pretty egregious wounds, but they're in your vicinity. That big wall that you put up between like civilians and, like, the high, the soldier and the wraith and the person that was making everybody stunned and whatever, you protected folks pretty easily with that big ass wall. So
fantastic. Okay.
And there are
the ones. Oh yeah, go ahead.
And I was going to say, and there are other cab members who are also there. There's several clerics and a couple of other druids who were there at the botanical garden with you.
In the middle of our garden party. Ugh.
God forbid.
God forbid. Yeah. So the people who can move, who don't have spinal injuries, I would want to have them all move into the nearest building, which I believe is the lighthouse, the nearest common area, to make a kind of triage center if we can. Mm-hmm. And the ones who obviously can't move, treating on site.
Perfect.
So Mira's, like, not really feeling much. Mira has basically just gone into medic mode, like wilderness first aid. This is what she knows how to do.
For sure. Kevin, you are driving a vehicle sort of haphazardly to get to the lab.
Like bumper cars. Yeah, because so she would have, Marcus was saying, like, people were there, he was hiding. So she's trying to, to drive to get there. Would it have come over her communicator that, like, things had ended, that it was, would she have heard that, like, announcement?
I mean, you would have heard the announcement. You would have also witnessed it happening. Because Yeah, these rifts aren't like, it's a rift, but it's like it's literally tears in space. And like there you can see, you can't really see exactly what it is on the other side, but there is a physical tangible tear that you can
So when
see.
it closed, like it would have been very obvious. Would so because she was like trying to drive the car before the ending. So does she realize, or would she have realized at this point that Hannah's gone?
Not at this point, I don't think.
Okay. All right. So the first thing she's going to do, she sees it close, but without knowing what's going on, she's like trying to make sure that Marcus, because her thought is they're going to try to take him, to hold him hostage, to sway Hannah or whatever. So she's going to like be checking in on him, as she's driving to see like, hey, are you still, the thing's closed, are you still good?
Yeah, he would have come over the comms to you, specifically Kevin, and would say, I'm in the lab. I'm starting to process all of the cameras, because like we need to see what's happening, like what, like before and after, like what and how did this happen.
She's not very healy, so she'll probably just continue there. I mean, since there's nobody left to fight, she's going to continue to go on to the lab and she'll like, radio out to make sure nobody needs her. But, barring some kind of like physical labor, she's going to continue on to meet Marcus to see if she can help go through the video and try to figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah. Ronan.
Well, we're in a bit of an issue because I had ended last session making my way to the good doctor.
That's okay.
Okay.
You can still make your way to the doctor.
Okay. Because I in my passing I'd sent Carry On out of backup, carrying a little healing aura to help perk up folks who are over there being triaged and as being the worst off. So they got hit with the magical healing to hopefully bring them back from the brink. But other than that, I was beelining to where Dr. Emmett was, seeing as he said he had captured someone. He had captured one of the invaders.
Yeah. Because are you going on foot, or were you trying to take a? Because if you're going on foot, it would take.
If it was going to take significantly like a much longer time, I would have flagged down some kind of transportation. But like, hey,
yeah,
drive me somewhere because I don't have.
Yeah.
I mean, would you have called Kevin to come get you? I mean, she's driving.
Dr. Emmett said it over the entire communicator, right? That he had captured one, and I don't know. I do not know. It depends on if you communicated that you A, had a vehicle, and B, were heading that way.
Oh yeah,
like, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, 100% would have been like, yeah, I've got a car. If nobody needs me, I'm going to go try to help, look at video. But
Yeah.
Hold up.
So then, Ronan, I would say that like the walk from where you are at to the lab is not very far. So like if you are going to meet up with Kevin to get into the vehicle, you could do that. Not Jasmine. Anastasia. I don't know why I wanted to say that. Anastasia.
So, the end of last session, Anastasia had taken a defensive posture for the lighthouse, trying to take a overwatching position. But she, in setting up, would have realized that she needed to make sure that there's somebody who's heading the defense as well as the recovery efforts. Is there somebody who is actively doing that?
Yes. So you see other CAV members who, like, you also have to remember that, like, even though all of you are all very capable fighters, you are also the low man on the totem pole. Everybody else has something else that, like, so they have this down pat. So you see folks that are rolling through, securing perimeters, checking on injured civilians, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
What is the name of the individual who is in charge of the essentially the head of the guard for the lighthouse?
Hannah Fox is is the armorer. She's in charge of everybody.
Is there nobody underneath her that's specifically is like when everybody is out in an all call, they stay back and serve as like a garrison?
If there's roll a history check, or history, or this is a little weird, but like an insight.
Hey, I'll take an insight. And you know I gotta ask, is it to find a hidden path?
No. No, it's not.
21.
A 21. The thinking about the way that Nicodemus answered his interview question about how everybody's safe in the Isla, we all have it taken care of, that kind of thing. There was a I can't. There's a specific word that's eluding me. Like this idea that nothing bad is ever going to happen to the Isla. So we never, like, there's military. There's like the Isla's militia that like is there, that stays. But if there's an all call for Cav, they're not worried that anything is gonna come to the Isla.
There's a level of ambivalence regarding regarding the defense.
Yeah, because they have the giant spell shield that's on there. There's the militia, and also it's who has the audacity to attack the Isla.
Okay. Anastasia would get a computer as well as her phone and remain in the kind of sniper overwatch area, but kind of prop it up while she's looking down the scope of a rifle and do a live stream to try to get I don't know if Facebook still has this feature, but whenever there's like a natural disaster, there's like a check-in feature that you could do, and Anastasia would attempt to do a kind of a check-in system for people in the local area and try to transmit that through our system to first responders to try to get them help.
Yeah. You don't have to roll that at all. That is the world functions in that sense. So you are utilizing, I'm assuming, Rex and the cameras that follow you around to do this,
as well as her own personal BeastTuber channel and say Twitch. We're live on Twitch, so they're using Twitch.
For sure. Okay. Sort of all of this is all happening at once. Nicodemus, you get a message, like a encrypted message that provides you a time later, like later today. So, and it's like 11 or midnight or something like that. So it's like, the idea is this is a pretty quick. But you do find Mira doing triage right next to the lab, actually. The building that between where the garden party is the lab. So.
Where are the others?
You're asking Mira that?
Yeah.
Does Mira know? Mira knows where our group is. Yes. So Mira's going to give the last known location before this rift thing happened, because I think that's probably the last time Mira was aware of the movements of the others, and then after that, she just went into fight or flight mode.
It was at least said over the communicator where Emmett was, right? Because he
Mhm.
said he had captured
Yes.
that person at this location.
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
I'm gonna say that's it during one of two times. That's either while Nicodemus was like tumbling off of a stadium with a dude and fighting him, or it was said during like after Nicodemus has read a letter that has just pissed him off to the core at this point. So I
Okay.
think
So
Well,
Pat didn't
Mira
wanna
will
know
give
what's
that updated location for him, but
Fine.
everyone else, the last known location was the last location before the rift.
I think a beat or two later, Kevin rolls up in a like SUV taxi type thing, pulling up right in front of the lab.
Those new green like
you can drive.
Nissan Versa things they have all over New York now that are the new taxis.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Apparently, and I like it.
Nice.
Ronan, you coming or what?
Yep.
You said you wanted a
mhm.
ride. Hop in.
Back up. You ain't gonna fit, buddy. Go on. Make sure you fucking send the tom off.
Anybody else?
There's been enough injuries
Oh,
today.
shit.
Scoot over.
But she's aggravated, but she knows that he's a better driver and he'll get him there faster. So she'll like climb in the back, climb over the seat into the back. Fine. I get to go next time though.
Anastasia, are you gonna give your location, or are you gonna to get picked up, or are you going to stay there?
If there is somebody who is capable in the area to take over, then Anastasia would leave. Otherwise, she would remain to assist with search and rescue.
Yeah, I think that you, since you're up above, you actually spot your Isla man or your mentor, Quinn, and you wave them down, and they go, "Oh yeah, Anastasia, what do you need me to do?"
Quinn, I'm running a search and rescue through multiple social media websites. I need you to monitor it and report anything to our rescue, our first responders. That's
Oh
possible.
yeah, I got you. You go.
Also, if you see, I mean, you know this, if you see anything, report it. Thanks. Everybody, this is Quinn, my mentor. Treat him
Hi,
well.
Quinn.
Mira knows Quinn because Quinn is from Antio.
Oh no, I was talking to the stream.
Oh, okay.
You betcha.
Oh yeah.
I'll let you know.
All of the members of Antio have a very niche population that they all appeal to, and that is members of Antio.
Anastasia will take her big gun that is probably three times the size of her, and put it on her back and run to the car.
Do they like cheese?
Of course they like cheese. Who doesn't like
Is cheese big in
Yeah,
Antio?
everybody in Antio loves cheese.
Oh yeah. We have
Specifically,
moose
the
cheese.
curds.
We have reindeer cheese. We have muskox cheese.
I got weird cheese.
Wild.
Buffalo cheese.
I'm very curious as to the method of successfully milking a goddamn moose.
Very
order-
Very
carefully.
carefully.
That is, woo!
So
It's brave.
y'all get into this car, and it's a 15-minute drive to the outside to where Emmett was located. He was like on the actual outskirts of the Isla. And so as you are all like sitting in this car, you are all sort of like sitting in reflection, and you all your minds all start to sort of drift back to sort of the first time you really actually was put into a position of crisis. And Ronan, I think that as you are sort of staring out the window, you already have this sort of rage at the arrogance of people in the island, people in cities. What's your very first thing that you think of in terms of the memory that you shared with me earlier?
I think probably in this context, like if it's pretty clear, like the things that like the same thing that Anastasia realized earlier, that there's just outside of the cab, there is like no fallback security options. Like people don't know what to do if they are here in the isle or put in danger. It's probably the fact that in even like out that far, even in the spur of the moment, at a time where people felt like they should be safe, they at least knew what to do when shit did go wrong.
Yeah.
Like shit went wrong then at probably one of the worst possible times, and people still they didn't just stand there.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's like as like you as a teenager having been around all of these critters through the like dealing with the critters in the desert and you're in the moving hotels and all of that stuff. Like when that traveling party got ambushed by those imps, like they needed help, but they weren't completely useless. Like they were able to sort of get themselves situated. You just happened to be able to your magic go enough and help
Granada.
them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
These people, the rifts opened, Ronan, and you saw genuine shock and freeze, which is a, you know, an honest reaction to something like this, but it wasn't some, it was all. People were like, what is going on?
These are people that had not ever been prepared for anything like this to happen to them here.
And so, what other feelings is this bringing up to you?
For like this, just it feels like further evidence that the system doesn't work. This system is not working. It is not helping. Like this is stagnation.
Yeah.
And it's yeah.
Yeah.
So probably mixing in just aside from the just like being angry at these people who all live here, there's also just the like technically these people aren't in charge. Like the citizens, these people that just got killed, the 60 people that just got killed. As much as he surface level, he's pissed off at everybody who lives here. That's not their fault. Like this whole the government, the people that are supposed to protect them, that is the crux of where it failed, and that this really kind of struck home to the heart that past just the general bias.
Yeah. Kevin, you grow cold. What you grow cold, like the memories of a dream that you can't quite put your finger on.
Yeah, like, and it's physical. It's not just like a mental or emotional thing. And like as the initial spark of adrenaline starts to fade, she'll start to get chill bumps, and it settles. It's a coldness that settles in her spine and at the back of her neck, and she feels extremely unsafe. That supposedly this is over, but it doesn't feel like it's over. It doesn't feel like whatever was here is gone. So she's very much on edge. And as she's looking around, like it will cross her mind, like the ridiculousness of the social media and this whole like FaceTime and everything. And so her thoughts, while not completely like Ronan's, won't be that far off, right? Because she comes from somewhere where people have to have some kind of self-presence. And it just makes her angry that resources are just used, that everybody's just consumed with all this like silliness, knowing that there are people that are dead, and she just is completely on edge.
Yeah. Anastasia, your first interactions with your magic was a happy moment. And how does this sort of juxtaposed with that memory as you're sitting in this vehicle? How do you reconcile that? Like you were doing magic tricks with your friend, and then a pretend magic trick, one of sleight of hand, turned into an actual piece of magic, tangible, one that brought a huge grin onto her face. Juxtaposing that with people running scared of trying to preserve their lives in a place that is supposed to be safe.
There's probably three things that run through Anastasia's mind. Is the smile on her best friend Bun's face when the cards caught on fire, the portals opening and people being cut down in front of Anastasia. She stood stunned by whatever creature was stunning her. And the realization that the system that is in place is not feasible to continue. Having just one person in place doesn't work when that person disappears and everything starts to crumble, because failure to plan is planning to fail. And seeing the magic that in her mind brings joy being used as something to destroy and harm innocent people, it sits quite poorly with Anastasia.
Mira, you throwing up the wall of stone to protect all of the civilians and yourself from the combatants is very reminiscent of the first time you used your magic to protect your family, those you cared about. How does it parallel?
It parallels because Mira's protective instincts come as a result of watching her family be protective of her. So what happened the first time they were able to understand that their child was magic was they were on a camping trip in the woods, in the mountains. It's bear country, be bear aware. We all learn it as children. And one of the things they tell you is that if you come in between a mama bear and her cubs, it's gonna end real bad for you. Through no one's fault, Mira ended up in the path of a bear sow between the grizzly sow and her cub. It was going to be a real bad time for her. She could not get to her mother because the grizzly sow was between her and her mother. So it was like two parents and two kids, both of whom were like afraid, trying to protect themselves. And Mira was frightened Mira did not, like, it's one of those things where the instinct just kind of came out. And so because of her bloodline, her lineage, she is from a group of people who can manipulate the land around them. And so when she freaked the hell out, she opened a rift in the earth that protected her by separating her physically from the grizzly sow. And that was enough to scare the mama bear away, to hopefully find some other way to find their cub, like get their cub back. But like what mattered to Mira was that like she was protected and her mom was protected because the grizzly bear was like terrified of like this mysterious force that had just happened. And before that point, Mira was a holy terror as a child. Mira had night terrors and temper tantrums, and no one could understand why. And it wasn't really something the parents chalked up to magic because they live in an area that has a lot of seismic activity. So whenever Mira would have night terrors or temper tantrums and the ground would shake, they just thought it was an earthquake. This was one of the few times where they understood that this Mira was causing this. This is coming from our daughter. We got to kind of like sit her down and explain, like, honey, you're a druid. This is what druids do. So this is very much like this is not a thing that Mira thinks about when people that she cares about are in danger. When she is in danger, the first thing that comes to her mind is, we need to find a way to put daylight between me and mine and the thing that might hurt us. So
Yeah. Nicodemus, you are already slightly on edge and have a little bit of rage in your heart from that note. And your childhood was very different than everybody else's. And so how does what you experienced, the fear of what they did to you as a child, the experiments and everything, how does that, you've been out of the island when stuff like this happens, but never in your home. This is your home. They did this to you. They had the audacity to open up a rift in your neighborhood.
I think Nicodemus is a bit singular-minded right now. His form of war that he's sort of fades all away. That bronze fire leaving his eyes. He always hears screams and war cries, and soldiers dance in his mind, and that's sort of where he gets everything he's ever got. It's from every soldier that's ever fought in a battle. So that's sort of screams from that fade into different screams as he thinks back to his childhood. He thinks about, being strapped to tables with needles stuck in his arm. He thinks about him and 9 other boys going through the same thing to be something better, to become something better. And he thinks about sitting in those rooms and watching those 9 other boys, terrified looks they would get whenever whoever it was would come in. Whenever they would come in to grab the next one, whoever was next to go through whatever pain they were about to go through. And he saw the same fear in those boys' eyes today. And I think he's conflicted right now, because someone made a grave error. They have either put their trust into someone that they shouldn't have, or someone's taken a risk that Nicodemus isn't willing to take himself. So he's attempting his best to contain his rage and focus it into a decent line of questioning.
Yeah. So as you all make it out to the sort of refugee housing, you come upon Dr. Emmett and a person in familiar armor. This person obviously is different than the individuals that you saw near you, but still in that like almost coral-looking armor, seashells emblazoned on its like the shoulders and things. She is very tall with long like red or strawberry blonde hair, very fey features. And Emmett is trying to contain his rage, so he's not saying very much at this point. And he is lifted her up, sort of in because it's pretty apparent that like she's slipped out of like other forms of constraints, so has levitated her basically so that she can't escape, and she's sort of on her back, head tilted back towards looking at you, and goes, "Oh, Emmett, are these your little friends? It will be so interesting to have a conversation with all of you." And before Emmett can say anything, and before any of you can say anything, another rift, something but different, more like a portal or something, opens up. And you see Astra, who is the Newfie's member of the council, step through it. And she looks at looks at all of you and says, "We will be summoning all of you to Newfie, but I'm going to take Emmett and his prisoner because I apologize, but none of you will be able to contain her if you take her back to the lighthouse."
Who are you and where are you from?
She nods to you and goes, "Nicodemus, my name is Astra Longshadow. I am the representative of Newfie on the council here. And many of the reasons why you have been able to get answers from Emmett," and she nods to him, "is due to a series of restrictions that we have placed to protect the members of Newfie, to prevent things like this from happening."
Got a lot of fucking good that did, huh?
You have permission from the island to be here to take this prisoner? From the council in total? From the premier?
She looks at you and goes, "Nicodemus, I do not."
Then I think you'll be heading back home alone.
She sort of tilts her head and sighs deeply and goes, "I do apologize for this." And sort of with one arm swoop, like basically scoops Emmett and his prisoner into the rift, and it disappears.
She can get fucked if she thinks I'm going there. Hell no.
Is the rift still open?
No.
And
this rift looked very different than the one that y'all just encountered with all of the monsters and stuff.
I see.
So
make an Arcana check.
Oh, hell
Thank
yeah.
you. I was gonna
I was like,
Hell
Arcana
yeah.
What are we
checks
doing?
all around.
I'm good at that. I'm gonna roll like shit anyway. We all know it.
Is it a hidden path?
Yep.
17 plus 2, so
17?
19.
19?
16.
16?
3.
3?
14.
I can't believe I fucking rolled a 3. I'm gonna
Oh,
scream.
mine was 23.
A 23? Okay. So,
there we go.
for
That sounds
my
a lot different.
over 15s,
Yeah.
you get. This was not ragged. In the sense of, you know, like when you rip a piece of paper, if you've creased it nice, you can rip it and there's no like raggedy ends.
Eckling.
Sure.
You
I'm
store
glad
it in
that
an art store.
So, this portal looked nice and clean. And what you know about that is it means that individual's magic is sanctioned. Like she is able to do that, like the teleportation circles in the elders at the community center, Mira. That magic, it looks clean and like it's supposed to be there. It's because they've gotten permission to have these teleportation circles. So based off of this, it looks like Astra's portal is sanctioned, or at least allowed on the Isla, as opposed to the other rifts that were jagged and looked like they were brute forced ripped open.
Bootleg portals.
But we know people have tampered with the Isla's defenses well before now.
Correct.
Okay.
And Kevin, with that 23, since Ronan brought it up, actually, this is a perfect segue. It occurs to you that maybe those wards that are around the lighthouse also are all around the actual physicality of the Isla, built into the shield spell that protects all of the Isla. And if that's the case, it would have weakened but not completely allowed. So the idea that it was ragged and jagged edging of these portals means that they only had a short amount of time, versus the teleport that you just, or this rift that we just saw. It looked clean, looked like it could stay there for a while, because it was stable. The rifts that were that the monsters all poured through were unstable. Like, you as a wizard were like, this is sloppy and is gonna fall apart in a hot minute.
So indicating that, like, meaning that there were some defenses still up, and that kind of like further reinforced the sanctioned nature or the of Astra's rift. Like, it had to be allowed.
Or that she simply can fully bypass all of the defenses rather than just most of them. Allowed or not.
If she's a high-ranking official, that makes sense that she would be allowed to come in.
Does it?
Yeah.
But Anastasia is going to say to all of you, you need to contact whoever is in your government and inform them that she just took one of the prime witnesses of the Isla attack.
I think Nicodemus is
unsanctioned.
Is like 2 steps ahead of you. He's on the communicator. Nicodemus knows the Isla, knows the command structure here, and knows that right now it is in shambles because one of the council members just shot off. We have cavalry members missing. He knows Hannah Fox is missing. He's about the only one that knows that right now. So he's going to get on the communicator to an all call to everyone in the island. If it goes out to the other cavalry members as well, good. And he'll hold it up. Councilwoman Astra has just disappeared with the only witness for the invasion, the only one that may have information on this. She is considered an enemy to the island until she's apprehended and questioned on this matter. he's going to end it there. That's all he's going to say. He's not going to sign off with his name or anything like that, but he's going to put that communication out there to have a manhunt for her, a woman hunt rather.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Mhm.
It was communicated to Emmett last session during the combat that they had come to take hostages and to release someone. Like they were there to rescue somebody, they said. Or they were there to retrieve somebody aside from hostages. Was that communicated to anybody else ever?
Not the Anastasia.
I don't think that
Fuck.
was over. And for clarification of that, it was to take somebody and to retrieve some people.
Yeah. So do we have a jail?
No.
Okay. Cool.
So it's probably a mole.
Yeah, or something of that nature. Or we have a secret prison.
Yeah.
Gulag.
I mean,
So
Wait,
when
Did she
all
just
of you
take Emmett too? Or
She
took
no?
Emmett
he
as
still
well.
went. She took Emmett as well.
Yep.
I would have included that in the message as well. And she's also like hell, and I would play it up. I would say, and she's also taken a member of the cavalry hostage.
Yeah. When you do that all call, on a private channel to just all of you, you hear Marcus go, "Hey,
Where the fuck's Hannah?
Gone.
yeah, you
What?
all need to come and see this information. You're the only ones I trust. Please come fast."
Fuck you mean gone? Looking at Nicodemus. Drive, someone. The fuck you mean
Talk
gone?
in the car. Talk in the car.
Yeah,
Nicodemus,
Anastasia.
drive, please.
Anastasia is going to call her sponsors, because I know that an attack on the Isla means that like every single person in that company is floundering, because that would mean that their stocks are plummeting. They're losing money actively.
Mhm.
And will inform them of exactly what Nicodemus just said and attempt to get essentially private military to assist in the manhunt for that individual. She would also, after that call, inform a representative from West by God, but not as, like, interested in what they have to say, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Do you guys have any conversations before you get to the lab where Marcus is?
The fuck you mean gone? At Nicodemus.
What else do I mean gone? Gone.
Yeah, the fuck. Okay, how? You seem to know this already. What do you mean?
One of them snatched her up.
Inside check. Fucking, because he kept this, like, he didn't say this until prompted to do so. Yeet. Fuck. I don't think it matters.
Well, the mirror rolled
Eight.
a 19 plus 7. So if she's in the car.
Yeah, you're all in the car.
When?
Nicodemus isn't lying. Someone snatched her up.
Who? Where? When? Why are you just now? Why didn't you say anything before?
There's a lot of shit going on. You just want to fucking chill out for a second? Act like you've been in a goddamn war for a minute. Maybe we can get through this. We're going to check the Marcus to see what information he had. Our number one fucking witness just got snatched out of there. Hannah ain't saving your ass. You're on your own, buddy. Welcome to the island.
She's our commanding officer, fucknut. You didn't think it was pertinent to say she was gone?
Commanding officers fall all the time. It's what happens.
And a wall of ice comes up between the two of you. Just
Cool. Great.
To be fair, from what it looks like, at least from an outsider's perspective in the Isla, she is the commanding officer for the defense of the island. And it seems like she's most of our military organization. That's a really fucking big deal.
My bad. Next time I'll interrupt the fucking lady who has all the information and just make sure I get all that out right first. I don't fucking report to any of y'all. Man up.
Looks in
So-
pants. Impossible.
Eventually, you make your way you get to the lab, and Marcus sort of peeks around and ushers you in and takes you into a room that none of you have noticed before, and shuts the door and plays 4 videos. The first one is of JC Neely walking through a rift, and it doesn't look like anybody is coercing them. They're not being dragged. He's walking willingly with one of the members of that clad in the armor. Cora Ashworth also does that. The last individual who walks willingly through a rift is Emmy Sasaki. Those 3 walk through a rift, unencumbered, uncoerced, with enemy combatants. And then Marcus takes a really deep breath and plays the final video. And it is Hannah getting overwhelmed and being dragged through a rift. It looks at like one of the enemy combatants like basically paralyzed her, unable to move, and she's dragged through a rift. And with that one, the enemy combatant in the armor gives a wink to the camera and then walks through the rift, and then it closes.
Yeah, that certainly wasn't fucking important. You saw that happen?
On the video, you do not see Nicodemus. Marcus pulls up all of your cameras, and you can see that Nicodemus is literally on the outside of the thing. You see yourself on the protecting the doors into the Isla. You see Kevin dropping some fucking fireballs onto these people. Mira with her wall. Like, you see all the actions that y'all did over the course of the literally a minute. 5 minutes tops. This was so fast. This was in and out. And he looks at all of you and goes, "They took my sister, and there are Cav members who walked willingly with them. I don't know who should see this. Because those members were kidnapped. Hannah was kidnapped. These people just walked through, basically skipping."
I say we burn 2 of them. We let it be known that we know. Possibly the 3rd one may try to come back and be a mole again, thinking that they've gotten away with it.
Not a bad
He
idea.
sort of-
All of them went. I don't.
What did you say, Roman?
I said, you think all of them left? I don't.
I don't either. Which is also why I think that the information that Hannah's been taken should be kept as need to know as possible. She's
What
on
do you
assignment.
mean, as need to know? My sister is gone.
I think
The Isle is in disorder. If it's known that the one woman who was in charge of the defense of the island is gone, there may be other people who try to take advantage of it. And Anastasia's dropped the fake no accent.
Marcus is gonna look to Nicodemus and goes, they're going to think my sister went with them. That she's like, she was kidnapped. And what are we gonna do? Pretend that she's just in the lighthouse doing nothing?
She's coordinating defenses. She's doing her job. She's taking the situation seriously until we can find her.
That's gonna stick.
No,
We
don't need it to stick forever.
It's not gonna stick worth shit. 2 of those fuckers are from here. I will purposefully glance at Nicodemus before continuing my sentence. And we know that there had to have been high-ranking members of this fucking government that are privy to this as well. It seemed real convenient and a good way to seize more of the power and more of the control of this fucking place. Almost guarantee it. That might be why some of them left. They're probably not all of them are gone. But, 3 known traitors, or 3 people who definitely went willingly, and oh man, it's so sad there's no footage of Hannah Fox. She must have gone with them willing too. Discredit, seize the command that she held.
Marcus is just going to sort of shrug his shoulders and go, this is beyond me. I am, for all intent and purpose, a fancy civilian. I have access to things, but aside from the camera stuff and making y'all things,
Marcus,
I don't have power.
Marcus.
I don't have power.
Calm down. We hold it for 24 hours. Nobody's going to be able to make sense of shit in 24 hours. At the end of that, we don't have a better plan. We release the information that Hannah was taken. We don't release the names of those that skipped out willingly. We hold that close to the chest, use that information to maybe find others that are doing the same thing.
We get copies of those videos. Aren't stored anywhere here.
Yeah, no, he already sort of hands you, has already done this and has already thought ahead of and gives each of you a flash drive with all 4 of those videos, and he's like, and this is the hard copy, and he puts it on the floor and crushes it with his foot.
I'm gonna put this on the table, and it stays amongst all of us. We need to consider the possibility that Emmett isn't, obviously he isn't being truthful with us on everything, but he may not be playing on our side entirely. That woman did not explain jack shit to any of us. And it's very clear that the only things that she has interest in is her country's safety. And possibly hiding any information that may discredit her country. If this is a coup d'etat for power, there is a chance that she may be involved. Emmett may be involved. And I don't want to discredit a good man's name, but it has to be put on the table.
Attackers in the wood did come through the same type of rift. The attackers forced their way in. She opened a door.
That just means she knows how to circumvent the defenses.
Or she's in a high enough place that
she has
believed.
a key.
She's a councilwoman. Of course she does. Marcus, what video do you have? Councilwoman Astra, past 24 hours, anything of interest? Anything unique, off schedule?
He goes over to a computer, sort of opens up an interface, and it appears that Astra hasn't been on the Isla in 3 weeks.
Well, yeah.
What about other council members? Was there? I know this may take time for you to analyze, but anybody who's gone off of schedule or is left entirely?
I mean, he sort of pulls something up and it has all of the council members on and goes, Martha Alcott lives here, so her schedule doesn't look anything weird. No, I mean, your council member, Roger, has been here for the last week, but that's not unusual.
Who's the council member for Zona?
Zona is Rye Loudstep.
Ryan Loudstep?
No, Rye, R-Y.
Oh, Loudstep.
Mm-hmm.
What about Rye Loudstep?
No, looks like they haven't been here since they were here for your induction.
And then they're back home.
Mm-hmm. Zona and Nevta's council members only come when they have to.
That's fair.
Charts. Marcus, I know you and Ronan realize that a lot of our security and stuff is fucked. Are there any places that we have privacy?
He looks at this room and he's like, this is a magical Faraday cage. Nothing comes in, nothing goes out. That's why I brought you in here.
So this is it.
With respect, Marcus, Anastasia looks at Ronan. Ronan, can you? Because we were told the same thing about the rest of the lighthouse, and it's not true.
I assume he double checked it recently since I saw it elsewhere, but I'll just go check the arcane glyphs and runes and everything and see if it make sure none of them have been tampered with, as the ones I had noticed elsewhere had been tampered with.
Yeah. What's your make an investigation check.
Hey, buddy. 18.
18.
I am going higher.
You run your hand along the edges of this room, and like a Faraday cage, like a proper Faraday cage, this thing is insulated. Like, no mechanical, no magical. Like, this is a black box. Nothing is coming in or out of this space.
That be made of lead. Magic right there. About damn near as much of this defense is physical as it is arcane, so it's pretty smack solid.
Well,
they could have taken others by force. Why only Hannah?
How long will it take for you to? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anastasia.
I think what I said previously. She's one of the highest, one of the strongest women in this city.
Sure.
Kevin?
They were all over the place. We had barely put a dent in them. Nobody had. Why only one? They could take plenty. If the goal was just to weaken defenses of the Isla, or just Amica in general, why stop at one?
And weaken them to what end?
I know this is a long shot. Was there any symbols or political movement iconography that maybe Anastasia would recognize on any of them?
the regalia insignia were 3 seashells on the pauldron.
Did that raise any immediate, like, is that something anybody immediately recognized, or would that require some searching?
That might require some searching. Ronan, you have access to a entire. So if you
I've not had an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's like it occurs to you that you might be able to gain some information on this if you take a couple of hours to reach out to your contacts. Yeah.
We need to see if we can figure out who they are first.
We all agree on 24 hours.
For a moment.
I believe so. And as we're talking, Anastasia's taken out 3 bullets and will carve the name of the 3 who walked into the portals into.
Like an old school.
Okay.
Sometimes the old ways are best.
Those names again were Emmy Sasky, Cora Ashworth, and
J.C. Neely. J.C. Neely and Emmy Sasaki are both from the Isla. Cora Ashworth is from West by God.
Oh.
No traitors from Nevton. Yeah.
You when the people were revealed, you heard some very Cajun swears.
What does that sound like, Christopher? Educate me.
I do not know.
You said Sasaki and Neely are both from the Isla, right?
Correct.
That's the ancient text.
Do I know about those 2 at all?
You know that Emmy Sasaki is the highest, like in terms of social status points. She is the highest. You haven't really had a lot of time to interact with her because one of the things that you have noticed, Nicodemus, and maybe even all of you, if you want to make an insight check, the members of the Isla, with the exception of Maggie, are very solo-minded. So Maggie O'Neill, who was Ronan's mentor, who tried to make an effort to make people feel welcomed to the Isla. Everybody else sort of was like solo, like, I have a job, I have a mission, is me, I'm going to do this kind of thing. So working with them, people would call them difficult.
I've been role-playing well, it seems.
Correct. You wonder why.
Fuck you, people.
Said insight check or
just to notice that. Literally, if you roll above a 5, you've noticed that members of the Isla, like Cav members from the Isla, are pretty solo-minded. As opposed to Antio, who spends all of their extra time hanging out, like going to saunas, doing arts and crafts nights, like everybody's vibing. It is a complete opposite situation.
we're out here living our best lives.
100%.
Of 24 hours it is. Best to get as much information as possible in that time. And unless anything else to add, I'm leaving. All right. And we're gonna walk out.
Yeah.
Kevin will walk over to a corner and pull out her communicator, and she's going to send an image of a very specific cactus to Xander. And basically, it's the signal that stuff has gone to hell.
Yeah.
Nicodemus is leaving as well and is going to establish the chain of command around the Isla right now. With Hannah Fox missing, he needs to see who's reporting to who and will assist in that however he needs to. whether that's taking on more squadrons under his own belt, or if that's, if there's someone else here that is he would be reporting into aside from Hannah, because Hannah's been his direct command for right now. Right. So he's just going to do nothing that's going to like raise red flags that Hannah's not here. He's not going to touch that piece of it. But as far as like things that would be going her way, like redirecting them right now, like assigning folks to take care of that.
Yeah. Great. So any checks anybody wants to make. So basically call it 4 hours before Nicodemus, you have set up your conversation. So anybody who wants to do anything basically immediately after this.
I think at some point, Kevin is going to be very much of the mind that it's us against whatever's in the dark. And that, not working together leaves us vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And so she is going to want to approach people individually because she doesn't want anybody to feel put on the spot. But to discuss the possibility of, when we're together as a group, that we need to be able to trust each other. We don't have to like each other, but we do have to trust each other, and we do have to have each other's back. And so she's gonna, talk about the possibility of, all sitting together and doing a detect thoughts. Everybody voluntarily doing detect thoughts, submitting to a detect thoughts to see if, just to make sure that we've got each other's back.
Fuck no.
You said you do these meetings one-on-one?
Yeah, absolutely. Because she's not trying to put anybody on the spot. She's not trying to strong arm anybody, but she's just looking for ways for us to build some trust, because this just really feels like we need to have each other's back and we need to trust each other.
Go ahead and cast it. I'm going to activate my form of war. Kevin hears screaming. People dying. Like constant death, like churning of war and death. End it.
Okay. And she had put her hand up, like on your temple.
You don't want in here. Go do something more useful.
All right, Rico. Let me know if you need help. And she'll, okay, so we got a fuck no, basically fuck you, fuck no, fuck you. And she'll approach Anastasia,
Anastasia will say, oh, Kevin, was essentially bless your heart.
No. No.
I cannot allow that, unfortunately. But, and she'll kind of guide you into her room. I will give you one of my secrets. My name is not Anastasia. Where I come from, my name is Anaz. Corporate sponsors thought it was a little rough around the edges, and Anastasia would sell better. So My real name is Anaz Jackal.
I like a Nas Jackal. I think it suits you. Thank you for sharing that with me. And I won't say anything to anybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. How about, what if I call you Anna? Is that all
I
right?
like that.
Awesome. I won't be giving away your secret that way. Is there anything you want to know about me? A trade's a trade. It's all fair.
I trust you.
Probably good. I don't think I have any secrets. I'm pretty what you see is what you get. But you've got a freebie question if anything ever comes up.
I will say, as I will say to everybody else, you'll end up on a bullet if you betray me.
Fair enough. And you'll end up in a wall of flame.
I don't think I'd like that very much.
I'm not really keen on bullets myself either. So, and she'll approach Mira too. And again, like, this is not trying to strong arm, and she'll be really frank. I got a fuck off and a fuck you, and, and I can tell you that, that Anna, gave indications that she is trustworthy and invested.
Okay. You're going to feel like a slight push at your back that's kind of cold, like pushing you into my room. And it's like, there's like a little bit of like a breeze with snowflakes in it, just like inviting you in. So you're going to come into my rustic room and I'm going to sit on the floor and kind of ask like, okay, so how do we do this?
If you don't mind,
sit there.
Yeah. And so she'll sit down and she'll be like, just when I knock, let me in. And she'll
All
gently
right.
place her hand on the side of your temple.
Yep. And you'll feel like a little bit of fear because like this is not something Mira's accustomed to. It's like this like sensation of having someone else enter her mind. So you'll feel like a tension and then like a release. And then you'll see like a series of like vignettes of like through her eyes of like people smiling down at her and like her little baby limbs with all the like baby fat rolls kind of like wriggling around. And then like you'll see salmon running up a stream and you'll feel her holding her father's hand. You'll see the first time she manifested her powers and her parents realized they were her powers, and you'll feel that tension again because that's like a scary memory for her. And you'll hear like the crackle of the earth like splitting and like the roar of the bear and like the screams of her mother. And then you'll see like her going up to the monastery for the first time, like vignettes of her practicing her powers, like the ground shaking every now and again, like ice knives like hitting targets, old mentors with like wrinkles on their faces but like kind faces, like teaching her, like having her repeat phrases and like mantras, her coming down from the mountain the day that she was accepted as member of the cavalry. And then the tension will slowly start to creep back in as you see like parts of her voyage going further south, and then like super super high tension on the day that she casts the aurora of like when she was introduced to everybody. And then like even more tension you see the first time she like realizes there are cameras watching her, and the cameras are like distorted, they're like oversized, and they kind of like look really menacing and invasive, and they kind of feel like they're everywhere. Like, this is not a reliable narrator, this is like how she felt at the time. And then like the first time she sees people from Antio, like the tension kind of releases again. Like the first time she goes into combat, the tension comes back. The first time combat is over, the tension releases. This particular thing that she just experienced is like the worst that you feel. And like you kind of, everything goes black. And then when it comes back up, there's a giant wall in front of you. And then you go back to kind of like, there's no tension, but there's no calm. There's just nothing. And you just feel this kind of robotic sensation of like her kind of going through the motions of treating patients. And then you come back into the room. So she's pretty much just giving you her entire life story.
Okay, great. So she's not going to need, clearly, the feel the need to like delve any further or anything like that. Like it sounds like your brain is kind of a what you see is what you get, or your thoughts. So, and she'll just gently remove her hand and say, "Thank you, I appreciate it."
Of course.
And we've got your back.
Thank
It can be scary out here sometimes. I don't like the cameras either. I think they suck. Oh,
You want some nunchuck?
sure.
You like hold it out.
Sure, thanks. Yeah.
Anastasia, looks like you want to
And-
say something.
Anastasia, after Kevin leaves, will cast invisibility on herself and will take the shadows that are in her room onto herself, and some forming from inside of herself to blend into the areas around her. She will go to, I forget the name of the West by God
Jeffrey.
Which
one that walked into the portal.
Oh,
Warren Ashwood or Ashwood?
Cora
Yeah,
Ashworth.
Cora. My bad.
She will go to her room and attempt to break into it.
Okay.
As-
We will circle back to you, Ronan. What you wanted to make some calls?
Yes, I am very specifically sending sending a message off to the archive requesting information on that fucking symbol.
Yeah.
I need something old, as old as they got or as new as they got, and everything in between.
Roll me a history check at advantage. As long as you don't get in that one.
They're asking for a lot from me. I rolled a
I
7
know,
and
my
an
dear.
8.
Total.
For a total of 13.
13. Perfect. You get an immediate response back.
Woo.
Um, and it's a text message, and it says, have more information, but this is the symbol of the Fae in the Lost Lands.
Truly. Okay, so symbol of the Fae that are it. So there are Fae in the Lost Lands, and that is okay.
And
that
they
is
go,
funky.
give us roughly 24 hours, and we'll give you all of the things in the archive related to the Fae of the Lost Land.
Interesting. Okay. I can't take notes in my on my character sheet apparently. Rip. I will write this else for them. Awesome. I will take that information. I say take what little the information that is, and I will tuck that away for the moment. I do have another thing I would like to be doing. If you want me to go ahead and say that now, if you want to wait until
go ahead
we've
and
gone around. I am. I'm probably going to return to where Marcus is at, because that seems to be the center of where all the information is, and he's probably about as trustworthy as it's going to get since they fucking stole his sister. And I want him to help me find any and all information about Neely, Ashworth, and Sasaki, and trying to cross-reference and find anything that the three of them shared, like any similarity, like if there was a similarity in their schedules, or like there was a similar area that they frequented, anything that would a common variable between those three, because I intend to see if anybody else currently still here shares that.
Sounds good. It is. I feel like with that, we'll have
I figure that's
three.
going to take a while.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while. So I'm gonna say this is a good time for us to take a quick break, and then we will pick up with a very important meeting. So, friends, go get a drink. maybe even an alcoholic drink. Who's to say? Take a bio break, eat a snack, and don't go away. We'll be right back. Bye.
Get some Fireball.
Hello and welcome back to Roads of Ruin, everyone. My name is Kylie. These are our heroes. The first half of this episode is the aftermath of an incursion on to the presumed safe location of the Isla. Our heroes here are we're dealing with the aftermath of that. Primarily that one of our heroes got swept back home by their representative with a hostage, one of the people who invaded the Isla. They are now on Nicodemus put a call to capture not only Astra Longshadow but also Emmett, and also Hannah's missing, which is real bad because she's in charge of all the cavalry, and there's a bunch of people dead and everybody's scared, and now everybody's having to deal with that. We left off with some information given, i.e. 3 cavalry members are presumed traitors, based off of information that Marcus gave to our heroes. Like I said, Hannah was captured, kidnapped, whatever you'd like to call it. And we found out through Ronan's connections that the invaders came from the Lost Land. And they are Fae, presumably.
I'm just saying, this does nothing but reinforce my personal player beliefs. Just saying.
Fair enough. As before break, we had Anastasia going to do some breaking and entering. Ronan was going to work with Marcus, and Nicodemus on the way to a meeting. And that's where we're going to pick up is this meeting, midnight. In the north section of the Isla, which is more sort of rough and tumble than the rest of the island, there's a sort of back alley between 2 industrial buildings that lead into a very old, you don't have to worry about them anymore, but nuclear fallout shelter. And that is where you have been directed to go to.
Nicodemus will dress somewhat low-key, kind of like he did the night when they went out to the crossroads. So sort of that black jumpsuit patrol type gear, head out that direction. Got a lot on his mind, so he's very quiet the whole way. Any sort of interactions that he has with fellow soldiers or whatever, like whether it's a salute or it's just sort of half-hearted because his mind is 1,000 miles away right now. But yeah, he'll get there. I assume it'll be like he gets in there and someone will let him in when they see him or something like that. So
yeah, so you go in.
Mm-hmm.
And this room is not very big. You know that there are other corridors and other rooms, but the one that you are in is probably a 10 by 10 space. Old, like, bunk beds in like a table in the center. And the person that you're meeting is sitting at the end of the table, hood over their head, and you see there's one other person in the room, but you know that this person, this is Xander, who you had a run-in with at the party the very first night of you as a CAV member. And he goes, "Nicodemus, good to see you."
Nicodemus is going to hit his shoulder pad and activate the EMP.
Okay.
Any sort of recording devices within, well, I don't have those stats, but whatever you say are going to be disabled.
Yep.
That goes off. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and the hood goes back just enough, and she looks at you and goes, Nicodemus, do you really think that I would get caught with anything that would record this conversation?
Just being safe, ma'am. So you need to be in here?
Yes. He's going to be installed as the next armorer of the cavalry, because we know that Hannah Fox has been taken and we need someone to act as leader.
Sure. This conversation's more of a personal matter. Ma'am, all due respect.
She considers it for a minute and looks over at Xander and goes, Xander, you may go. You can meet me at the other location. He nods and he puts a hood over himself and wanders out the door, and you hear the latch of the big, heavy, like, lead and whatever, concrete enforced door. And she sort of tilts her head and goes, yes, my dear.
Xander pops out of the room. Nicodemus puts his hat on the table. Hey, Ma. Annie leans in and hugs her.
And she pats you on the back and places her hand on your face and goes, now, what is creating this weary in your face that I see?
I was told today, I don't know if it's true or not, but that this invasion came from high command.
You have a question about that? What is it?
I need to know if these people were hired as third party and not vetted properly. Or if this is a decision that was made.
She nods and places both of her hands on the sides of your face and goes, Nicodemus, you are my best child and soldier. The individuals that crossed our border, ripped through the shield, came earlier than expected. They jumped the gun, as people would like to say.
Ma, they hurt kids.
Oh, honey. They had explicit orders not to.
And someone needs to be held responsible.
And they will. They will. I promise you. I promise you.
Okay.
And give me 1 second. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
I'm famously very good at these. Did our
Yeah, you are.
proficiency bonus go up this level or no? Okay. So it's still just +2.
13 is the magic number.
7.
7. Okay.
Just saves.
No.
That would be hysterical.
Look.
Nicodemus, you feel a wash of comfort come over you. This woman has never done anything wrong and has never led you astray.
Yeah.
And she goes, now, Nicodemus, I am a little sad that you didn't listen to the suggestion, but I do like having you so close by.
Cameras were nearby. I couldn't be involved with that.
Very good. You are always thinking ahead, which is why I'm always so proud of you. You are my favorite. You know that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now, Xander is going to take over. For now, I do have a question as to how close you got to Hannah Fox. Did you listen to the my suggestion, my request?
As close as she lets anyone. She plays her cards very close to the chest pretty consistently. I was buying some goodwill with her. But these folks who jumped the gun kind of got ahead of it before I could get anything very useful.
She nods and places her hand one more time on your cheek and goes, very well. Well, I expect you to listen to Xander. He will be your commanding officer for the time being in the cavalry.
Of course.
Now, you go back, take care. Hush now. Go lie down, she says to the dog that is in her retinue. And she goes, good things are coming to the island, Nicodemus. You just have to wait.
All right. Thanks, Mom. I'll go back in for another hug before I leave.
Yeah. She gives you another hug.
Get up and go to leave. I'll before I open the door, and guess Xander's already left out. Sort of not quite looking at her. Turn to her though. Does Kevin know?
Oh, no, dear. Kevin is from Zona. The people from Zona and Nevta are going to be difficult.
I mean about Xander.
I know.
Okay.
Xander is not from Zona. He is from West by God. Now go to bed. Get a rest. You deserve it.
We'll nod his head and leave out for the night.
Yeah. Anastasia, roll up that sleight of hand.
Oh, right. Sleight of hand. Bump a
Whoa!
bum. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. You easily break into Cora's room. There is nothing in this space. Make an Arcana check.
Okay. I have a question. Are there any hidden doors or paths that may be giving me advantage?
No.
Fuck.
Isn't it more of a you have advantage to search for those things, Christopher?
18.
An 18? For Arcana or Investigation, or what are you doing?
For Arcana.
Okay.
That comes
This
next.
space has been magically wiped. There is, it feels like this is a brand new, almost like when y'all moved in to the space where it was sort of stark and clean and ready for y'all to do what you wanted to do to decorate this space. This is what it feels like. It has been magically cleaned.
Next up,
Mhm.
I would like to look for any hidden doors, like like compartments.
There is nothing. I promise you.
Oh, I don't trust you.
I mean, go ahead. You can roll
I'm kidding,
and roll it with advantage, and I'll tell you the same thing. There's nothing
see.
there.
Interesting, very interesting. All right. I can't even light the goddamn room on fire. Anastasia will leave, but just leave the door open when she leaves.
Yeah. Ronan,
Oh, that's me.
you were doing some lookabouts with Marcus. Can you remind me exactly what you were?
I am trying to find all recorded information about old Neely, Ashworth, and Sasaki.
Mhm.
I'm trying to find a common variable between the three of them that may help pin down if there are others that didn't leave. So see if I can find a common thread between the three of them that I could then compare and go, hey, these people do that same thing, or have that same thing in common that may at least point in a direction to maybe investigate others.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll me. Because you're using your like artificery skills.
If I can, I'm definitely trying to use them to cut down on time.
Yes.
Like I'm over here trying to like cross-reference shit as quickly as possible.
Basically, yeah. So what I would love for you is to do like proficiency plus investigation or something along those lines.
I'm already proficient in investigation, so that works out.
Okay.
I will have also, let me make sure I've got the spell slot for it. Or spell slots. I can at least for 2 hours have advantage on all intelligence related things using enhance ability.
Okay. Do it. Roll it.
Okay, it can only go one higher.
Okay.
It did not. 28.
28. You have to go back a while.
Mhm.
But one of the things that you find, and it becomes glaringly obvious now that you have like actually looked at it.
Mhm.
The cohort that went missing spent a lot of time with these 3 cab members that just went away.
Interesting.
And then basically the week after those cab members disappeared, the 3 of them that had been more or less thick as thieves were not seen together at all.
Interesting. And it was only those two. There were no other members of the Cav that were a part of that as well.
Correct.
Interesting. Were they only this close for that time with the group that went missing, or did they spend a lot of time together prior to that, and then it was only after they went missing that they split up?
So, you got 28. So, what you know of these three particular Cav members is that JC Neely is on his 9th year. Like, he is this is his last year. Mm-hmm. He bestowed the mantle onto Nicodemus. Cora was in her 8th year. So if you start zooming backwards, like microfishing this shit, it becomes evident that JC Neely and Cora Ashworth were an item.
Mm-hmm.
And then Emmy Sasaki was not last year's cohort, obviously, but was the cohort before.
So on either, okay. So the oldest two, so those two were near, one was, so okay, so two were near retirement from that, and then Emmy was only 3 years, 2 and some
Correct.
change into hers. And there was, and aside from, so you said those two had been an item at one for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Did Emmy have anything to do with those two prior to this? Like they just teamed up when they started spending a lot of time with that cohort and then
Correct.
Split. Okay. Okay. Just to be on the safe side, I'll any other close relationships that those three might have had, I'll jot all those folks down.
Mm-hmm.
Which does not necessarily, I guess, need to be, if you don't have to think of all that on the spot.
No, I would say
that is what I'm doing.
No, I would say that the big thing is that, like, this goes back to just general information. The Cav members from the Isla more or less are by themselves or like solo operators. Cora Ashworth, being from West by God, is in the similar vein as Anastasia. Very like fashionable, very pretty, going out, doing lots and lots of FaceTime, often going to like beauty pageants and like makeup reveals and that kind of stuff. So she was very active, like in like on the islet as a whole, as this like very not so much not popular in like the social status as like Emmy, but still relatively high, probably like upper third of the rankings. Fairly, and especially now, like the older you get, the less the social status matters, because people know who you are and they trust you, and you're kind of, it's like the Tom Hanks effect. Like, Tom Hanks doesn't need to be in movies anymore because everybody loves Tom Hanks. Everybody knows Tom Hanks, right? It's that kind of.
The popularity contest already did its job.
Correct.
Interesting. Yeah. So I assume that mostly I will not get much very concrete, but at the very least, if there's anybody they spent notably more amounts of time with outside of the three of each other in the missing cohort, of course, I'll make note of it just to be safe.
Yeah. The only weird thing that you would see is that Cora was Nico's mentor in the Isla.
But that was starting
like
the same
2 months
time
ago.
we started to go. Okay.
Correct. Like that's the only thing to mention, is that like you're literally trying to like,
yeah,
red string this.
Oh, I'm out there fucking corkboard and everything. Yeah. I'm fancy. I got magnets instead of push pins. Yeah. That is interesting, and it really isn't much of anything. But I know jack diddly about Nico. I know if I did have the time, I would like to see if there's anything beyond like public information about him that I can find.
Yeah, I feel like that's a different role.
Yeah, that can be later or whatever.
Yeah,
but it is something I might do it in at a separate time.
Mira,
Hello.
you get a message from the community center
Okay.
asking you to join them.
Happily.
Okay, so you make your way. I'm presumably after the interaction with Kevin, and they take you to the very tippy top of the community center, because this is probably a 15-story building. And one of the younger, which is saying something because these folks are like 50s, 60s, kind of.
Haven't got a single hip replaced yet.
Exactly. She looks at you and goes, Mira, you did a good job today. We saw what you did. We don't know all the things that are happening, but we have information that things that happened in the past are happening again.
See.
And an elder at the monastery needs you to come back to retrieve a piece of something.
Okay.
It will require you leaving the Isla in 2 hours. Once you get back to the monastery in Antio, you can let your cohort know, and they can join you. But we have to prepare you in order to have you even attempt retrieving this item.
Okay.
Do you need to gather anything?
How long will I be gone?
If the ancestors are kind, 3 days.
Okay. Guess I better back.
Very well. And they indicate for you to go back to the lighthouse and retrieve your items. You saw a fairly large teleportation circle being readied for you to kick back home.
All right.
Yes, Kevin.
Like, before she gets back to her room, outside everybody's door is a new pot for their cactus. This needs to be repotted in something bigger. And she didn't make a deal out of it this time. They should know what it's for. So she just left the pot outside everybody's door, right? And then went on her way. But outside Mira's, it'll say Mira, but in the A is kind of like it's shaped almost like a protective wall, right? And so it's terrible art. She's not a great artist at all, but the intent gets across. Ronan's just says Ronan. There's one outside Emmett's that says Doc on it. Anastasia's, it just says Anna. And outside Nicodemus's door, it says Rico.
Awesome. Kevin, you get a message back from Xander, and he drops a pin at a pub that you have been frequenting and puts a time on it, which is like in an hour.
Okay, cool. So she would have dropped those off before she headed out to meet Xander.
Yeah. And you roll in, despite the fact that the Isla just had its first invasion, this bar is like bumping. Like, there are people getting shit-faced. And
I mean, fair.
there's music happening, and you see sort of to the back corner next, there's like a booth, and you see Xander in the back.
Okay. So I'll like stop by the bar, grab a beer. They know me, so just grab it and then head on and just kind of slide into a seat casually.
Yeah.
Trying to make it look like no big deal.
And he sort of like nonchalantly goes, "All right, Sweet Pea, what's the SOS?"
Did you see the news? Rift, invasion, 60 people dead, children, innocent people, fucking shit show.
Yeah.
Cab members gone.
Yeah.
And one of the bigwigs showed up, took one of my cohort and a witness. Not cool. What the fuck is going on?
Well, Xander looks at you and goes, "Well, some of this information has not been released, so you should probably..." And sort of takes a look about and waves his finger and basically creates like a little wall to encase you guys in. So not quite silence, but close enough. And he goes, "Kevin, you're from Zona. How many communities in Zona have felt this same exact panic before?"
Not like this. These people are fucking clueless. They can't tie their shoes. Clearly. And what's with all the game of pedestals shit going on? Like, what is this with people swooping in and stealing our people? What? No, this is not the same as home. Home, it's just beasties and creepy crawlies. Shit shows up and it's bad. This is something different.
Make an insight check for me.
Does it help that I have a 20 passive insight?
It does. But I would say that do this with advantage.
Oh, it's a nat 20. It is a nat 20.
Amazing.
Yay for the moon-based dice. Yes.
Amazing.
Okay, so what that is, so that makes it a 30.
30.
God damn.
Yeah!
Kevin,
Yes.
you have known Xander for a very long time. He taught you pretty much everything you know about being a wizard, being a magic user. This is the same man who, ripped apart griffins and with magic with basically a snap of a finger. But as you look at this man, you see a man with motivations that do not match what you remember. And you have to remind yourself that although he lived in Zona, walked about, and acts like he is from Zona, he is not from Zona. He is from West by God. And I don't want to call it smarmy, because it's like the only reason why you got it is because you literally got a 30. You got a nat 20. In any other capacity, you would think that this is a look of just like, he calls you sweet pea because that's what he called you when you were like 10. Like this endearing sort of like, I'm going to comfort you. Yeah. Jones. You realize that this is a man who is looking for power and control. And he doesn't think that you're savvy enough in the politics game to catch on to what is currently happening. And he just kind of like, not in a weird, creepy way, just like in a like that family, like puts his hand on your shoulder and goes, things are going to be changing. And change is difficult. The civilians of the Isla might be a little uncomfortable, realizing that the big creepy crawlies aren't just myth and legend, that they stuff that you already know, stuff that the plains and the desert already know. Things are going to change, and I hope that you will help usher in that change.
Of course, if it's going to help them. I mean, I just don't want this to happen again.
Nobody does.
Okay.
And he
When did you get in town?
I was called in as a favor.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
Well, I was the armorer before Hannah Fox was named the armorer.
I never realized that. That explains a lot.
And he like cheers your glass and finishes the beverage and does very like small talk, like trying to redirect the conversation.
Okay. Yeah, and Kevin will allow the conversation to be to be redirected, and she'll like let it be more comforting and allow herself to be comforted and ask about home and her grandmother and yada yada, all that kind of stuff, and until it's, well, we got stuff to do, so I should probably head out.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate you.
Of course. Just if you need an SOS, just my number.
Absolutely. She'll give him a big old hug and walk out. And when she gets around the corner, she'll start to run. And just like, not like toward a place, but just run, because she has so much rage in her that she just has to run out the energy, and she'll just run until she almost can't stand, and then she'll head back.
Yeah. Nicodemus, when you go back to the Isla, are you going back to your room?
Yeah.
Okay. Where is the little packet, the puzzle box and the small blue crystal that you were given?
Probably in the same place that he keeps his drugs.
Okay.
So he'll like, it's probably a ceiling tile that he just grabs a broom, presses it up, and it like falls down.
Yeah.
And like all in one pack right in front of him. So that's what he's going for anyways. So
yeah,
not the crystal or anything.
Yeah. When you reach for your drugs and you go to pick it up, the puzzle box falls in the small, not the agate, but there's a blue crystal that you didn't really have much time to like consider. Begins to glow. Do you pick it up?
Sets drugs to the side for a moment, bends down, picks up the rock, intending to just throw it right back in, unless something happens, of course.
Yeah. So you pick up the rock, and a wave of softness overtakes your mind. This is a greater restoration spell. And with this greater restoration, there's a little bit of a curse-breaking property to it as well. And you were reaching for your drugs because you always reach for your drugs because you're trying to drown out the memories. You're trying to drown out the feelings. And one of your memories that that come to your mind as this sort of comforting blanket of a feeling overcomes you is that of one of the other little boys being taken out. And you've always considered the people that were taking the children as monsters. They are in, white and yellow hazmat suits. You can't see their faces because they have the big hoods on them. But there's just for a moment with this greater restoration, you see sort of across the lab, where they were doing all of these tests where you were hooked up. There's a room with a window with people observing who are not obscured by the scary monster get-ups, the lab coats and things. And you recognize a face. I will let you sit with that.
Sure.
We're going to go to Mira real quick.
Hello, hello.
Mira, do you tell anybody that you are leaving the Isla?
No, but I'm going to leave my stuffed moose by Kevin's door.
Okay. So Kevin is currently out, but you're sure that she'll see it when she comes back in. You head to the community center, to the 15th floor, and you are surrounded by the elders of your people. you also see your mentor, Hana, who is from Nufi. And Hana takes your hand and goes, Mira, I know that people do not trust my people. They do not trust us from Nufi. And I know why. But I'm going to go with you to Antio. And hopefully, by the time that your cohort meets us there, everything will have been revealed. I do hope you trust me.
We're gonna roll with that. I think there's a sense, being from the far north and having seen the things that the people in the city have not seen, there is a certain level of like basic goodwill, I think is the phrase I'm looking for, that you get.
Yeah. So she holds out her hand for you to grab. She squeezes it. And you are transported to a place that you know very well. A sense of calm and familiarity overcomes you. I'm going to pop back to Nicodemus. Do you want to process through anything that you're feeling, or are you doing some drugs and going to bed?
I think Nicodemus is like, after that's done, he's gonna drop the stone back into that bag. And I don't think Nicodemus knows of a way to process it, if I'm just being completely honest.
Yeah.
He's going to do what he does, and he's just gonna default, and he is going to get very, very high to drown out the screams.
That's fine. That's fair. Kevin, you run. Eventually, you make it back to the lighthouse. And you see a very adorable stuffed moose sitting in front of your door.
Kevin's just kind of, at this point, she's kind of run out and wrung out. And she ran to turn off her brain, right? And to get rid of all of that. And, you know, the only thoughts that she had been thinking were, you know, throughout this whole time were that, you know, she can't trust anybody, how alone she feels, and how very vulnerable. And she just keeps thinking back to the first night that she ever used magic, when she was alone in the desert in the dark, and the voice kept talking to her and following her, no matter how many times she asked it to go away. And that's how she feels right now, that there's nobody that she can turn to and nobody to keep her safe. And as she comes around the corner and she sees something by her door, and she gets closer and realizes what it is, she picks it up and with one hand, and as she's opening her door, she just kind of collapses inward as she starts to sob. And she closes the door and kind of collapses on her bed and just wraps her body around the moose. Yeah. And cries.
So something interesting about this particular moose. This moose is a stuffy of comfort. And so as you are holding it and crying, it helps you go to sleep in a like yes, you can process those feelings and emotion, but like eventually, as you're holding onto this, it gives you that peace, and then you slowly drift to sleep. Ronan, eventually Marcus looks over at you. The two of you have been looking at, magical microfiche for probably 6 or 7 hours at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at you and goes, "My eyes are going crossways. I can't look at a single video for a while. You can stay here. I trust you. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to bed."
Yeah, you can go on to bed then. See you in the morning.
And he, puts a stack of like snacks on like the corner and like a big water bottle, and like closes the Faraday cage.
Ronan has probably been subsisting almost entirely off of like juicing himself magically, like someone like to doing like enhance ability like for Constitution, probably for the last several hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anastasia, you said that you were screaming into the void that is Cora Ashworth's room. Do you eventually go back to your own room, or where are you going?
Anastasia, after realizing that there's absolutely nothing in Cora's room, will take out a cigarette and try to light it, and the flame will, every single time, since she's alone, she'll flick the lighter and a hand will reach up from her shadow and pinch it out. And after she does that 3 or 4 times, she will try to go to either she knows both of you have some type of magic fire. Kevin, heads or tails?
Heads. That sounds high. Higher than tails, anyway.
She will try to knock on Nicodemus's door.
Yeah, he'll answer. Nicodemus opens his door. He is probably down to his briefs. And Nicodemus carries a fire. Like his presence typically just carries a fire. His eyes look like sunset right now.
I was going to ask if you could give a girl a light, but I think you need this more than me.
I got cigarettes.
I
He'll
have...
cast create bonfire on his arm.
She will cast Cure Wounds.
You'll notice it barely burns them.
Doesn't matter. She'll give you the pack of cigarettes.
Just said
Need anything.
cigarettes.
Sometimes it tastes better from a friend. You need anything?
Nope.
Alright. She will tell Nicodemus she'll be right back. Run to her room and grab the Xanax mousse. just hand it over to him and walk away. Give it a squeeze. It's her only advice.
Okay.
Do you give it a squeeze?
Nicodemus probably squeezes it right there in his hands, just like full fist, just.
Calm emotions.
To be honest, it probably just makes him pass out. Like, if there's any more calm that's going on right now, it's unconscious. That's what that is. So if he squeezes that and his calm emotions, probably just fucking timber right there on the ground.
Would the cure wounds have made him unhigh a little bit?
That's hit points.
Yeah, it's not like
Yeah, it wouldn't
poison.
cure poison.
This would be more of like a restoration spell than a cure wound spell.
I'm assuming Anastasia heard the big ass man fall. Unless you were in your room.
You may
Is
heard
what?
it when you in his room. Could open the door, door just thuds into my head, like a couple of inches away.
Anastasia will. She's teensy. She probably could fit through the door. Will cast Mage Hand with what little help that will be. And it'll pick up like one of your legs and try to drag you onto your bed. And, just put you in a recovery position. And,
I think Asher at this point walks by, goes, "Need some help?"
Nope. He's alright.
Okay. I mean, everybody's dealing with this differently, so I get it. And very clearly, drunk. Like, Asher is drunk. So.
Well, let's see. Okay, with a 15, I think I feel like Anastasia might be able to get you at least kind of propped in bed.
Yeah, I mean, with a 15, I think it's like, eventually you haul his ass onto his bed, get him into a safety recovery position, and then scooch.
But Xanax Moose will stay tucked underneath your arm.
Okay.
You'll see that Kevin's cactus is still in the same pot. He has just put that pot in the other pot.
Great success.
And yeah, you're doing all this work. I think you may notice that, like, as you're pushing him, and it probably limbs are colliding with whatever furniture is in here. And like maybe his arm like snags a corner or a sharp piece of something, and it just does nothing. It actually like dulls the corner of it. You maybe and look over at the drugs that there's no needle there, and like Nico doesn't wear armor out to fight. It's just like toughened skin.
Anastasia will leave Rex in Nico's room, but completely, like, no recording, nothing, with a note attached to his chest of just here to make sure you're okay. Not recording. You can check if you'd like. And then Anastasia will head out and shut the door.
And with that, I think that is a great way to end tonight's session, my friends.
Hell yeah.
So, that's the end of the session. And I fully lost what I was going to say. Thank you for joining us. The thing is going to drop in the chat for Extra Life, so click on that if you want to be a hero and do the lawful kind thing. And then in a minute, we're going to be rating another TTRPG folk once I get the call from upper management.
You're fired.
Zeal Zaddy. We're going to go and raid Zeal Zaddy. So stick around, watch their stream. I'm sure it's going to be super duper awesome. They do great stuff. And otherwise, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, 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 Dad.
No.
Dab on him.